NSYNC too. Britney Spears is kind of cute. We watch TRL on MTV. Everybody three count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Are You Afraid of the Mark? And today we have a very special guest. Some of you might know as Peter Smith, but we have Brody Steele with us. Thank you, Brody, for joining us.
No sweat.
So you just got back from India. Am I correct in that, or?
That is correct. Yes, Monday night.
So how was your time in India?
Good and bad. We all got ill right away. So we spent the first week losing 15 pounds. Well, I lost 15 pounds in the first week, but the business was tremendous. I would have to say we had the biggest 3-day attendance in pro wrestling in maybe 30 years.
Wow. What was the attendance like at these shows?
We had 25,000 at the first show, 65 to 70,000. I never heard the final number for the second show, and probably around 10,000 for the third show. The third show was a little off the beaten path, but still 10,000 is tremendous.
That's bigger than what you're used to working here in the Maritimes, for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I follow you on Facebook, and I've seen that you had security presence with you guys at all times. Was it that heated there? Or?
Well, it was me in particular, because I'd said some disparaging remarks about India, so they put me under armed guard for a couple days. I didn't really feel that I was in danger from the wrestling fans, but as one of the guards described it to me, the wrestling fans were doing what wrestling fans do. They were getting involved. But 80% of people in that community don't have televisions. They don't know what pro wrestling is. So if I happen to get in an altercation with the wrestling fans, even though it wouldn't be all that serious, I could be very quickly enveloped by thousands of people and have my head bashed in. So it was best that I just stay in the hotel for a couple days.
So I saw that there was an incident with you and Khali where Khali was stretchered out. Can you explain that situation to me?
Well, he took a few too many chair shots the first night, and he lost a considerable amount of blood, and he ended up spending the night in the emergency room, which played very well into our hands professionally, because that's when we went from 25,000 to 65,000 a few days later. And that's that we had a big press conference before that, and that's when things got really heated, because I don't think people understand Khali's popularity in India. I didn't understand, to be honest with you, and I have a hard time explaining it. I would hazard to guess no wrestler in the world nationally is as popular as he is in India. It's unbelievable. He's a myth. He can't leave his house. He's an 8-foot tall Elvis Presley. People don't even know that he's real until they see him. He's just somebody they've heard about. It shocked me. I wasn't prepared for. I expected to go over there, and I thought we could hit 10, 15,000 for a show, but 65,000. It's unbelievable. I can't even explain. Only WrestleMania will outdo that this year internationally. And
you were the heel of the tour. Am I correct?
Well, yes, I was the one wrestling in the main event, but I can't take credit for all the heat that we got. I had a fellow from WWE named Mike Knox in my corner, and another guy from Puerto Rico named Apollo. That is, I think he was in TNA for a while, but I've known him for a long time, and the three of us together worked very well as a unit, and the press conferences, and just our presence, on television, whatever. We're all big guys, and it worked really well. It just gelled.
What can you attribute to your success in India? Not only with the media, but you were making national headlines as well.
Well, when you get heat, you've got two choices. You can hold back a little for your own safety, or you can go for it. And I'm kind of a fearless motherfucker. So, with one of the press conferences, it got really heated. I mean, I thought for sure that I was going to get attacked, and it wasn't like a press conference here with 10 or 15 press. There was hundreds. And I thought, it was dodgy. I had to apologize in that one, but before that, I mean, it was really heated, and it's just a matter of having the balls to dial it up a notch. And that next show, when we had the 65,000, when me and Apollo and Mike Knox were walking up the ramp, and it was a long ass walk up the ramp in a cricket stadium, we're having boulders thrown at us, bottles thrown at us, and how we didn't get killed is beyond me, or even hurt. I get hit in the back with a boulder. Paulo got hit in the back with a boulder. We were shoulder to shoulder and trying to rush along, and a boulder came probably half the size of a human head, came right between our heads, and skimmed our shoulders. If it would have hit either one of us in the back of the head, we'd have been in serious trouble. So, it's just a matter of, you don't get those opportunities in wrestling very often where it's real legitimate heat where people want to kill you. It's only been a few times in my career. So, and as it's happening, you're thinking, oh my God, this is awesome. Then afterwards you reflect and it's like, Jesus Christ, I could have been killed there.
Was that the most heat you've had on you, and the most you felt fear for yourself in wrestling?
Yeah. There was a time it wasn't even at a wrestling event, but in England one time I went onto the pitch in Bristol at a halftime at a football match, and I insulted the home team, and 25,000 people started coming out of the stands at me, and the cops had to come out on their Clydesdale horses and lead me out of the stadium. That was pretty dodgy. But this would take it. It would beat that.
So now we've discussed India. I want to get to talk about the Maritime scene, as you're very vocal about how you feel about the Maritime scene on Facebook. Can you explain to me the Maritime scene right now in general before we get into certain areas?
Well, it could be the best it's ever been if the guys would unite and stop being marks and try to make money instead of get Facebook likes. I think if the guys really wanted to work together and pick their battles and reject certain promoters and promotions, I think that things could be really good. But when you're depending on hot shotting, it's you land in a heap of shit every single time, because the fans, the Wrestle Center's about to bring in Kurt Angle. They're going to lose a fortune. I don't care how many people they put in that arena. They're going to lose a fortune. And what they've done is they've raised expectations to the point where you have to bring in Kurt Angle, or who do they bring in next? Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan? They've already had Mick Foley, and they are never going to make money with that. So they had a chance because they originally drew well. They had a chance to give a rub to the local guys, and they had great local guys that got over, and they could have not needed to bring in Kurt Angle. It's when you act out of desperation right from the start, really you don't have a plan.
Well, they started with a great business model, and it was all locals. It was. I remember the start. It was
no. I'm not going to allow you to say that. They never had a great business model. They never made money.
I mean, as in locally, they used local talent.
Yeah, from a fan standpoint, they put on good shows, but they never. Did you see AJ Styles get pinned by Marcus Burke or by Steve Arsenault? No. Did you see Mick Foley being left in a heap of blood? They had no business plan. They were fans, and they still are.
I didn't mean it that way. I meant they started predominantly with maybe one guy coming in,
right,
and mainly local guys to help them, and now they rely on bringing in multiple outside guys.
Yeah, well, they have to because everybody quit. So,
do you mind talking about that situation that recently?
I can't speak on anyone else's behalf. I left because I didn't like their supposed business plan. I didn't think it was a business plan. I think it flies in the face of what I know pro wrestling can be. It's all about building things up, and there's a reason when business was at its best, Leo Burke was the man. Not AJ Styles. or Christopher Daniels, and nothing against those guys. Fair play to them. I know they were coming in on an inflated wage because the what we call a mark wage. You overcharge the promoters who don't know what they're doing, and that's exactly what they've done. And fair play to them. They don't care about the Maritimes, but I do. And a lot of the guys do. But the main reason that I left, actually, it's not the main reason, it's the only reason I left. I didn't like the way that they professionally treated and personally treated the young talent. They were dismissive and rude and, bossy. It's like, fuck you guys. We're independent contractors. You're not our boss. We don't work for you. We work for us.
And that's what I found when I attended two shows. I attended one in Halifax and their first show in Kentville. And they were plugging their trainees, Brett and Justin, as their product, like coming out of their school, but they just get destroyed in 30-second squash matches. And
Yeah.
I just found that wasn't showing your school well, and not showing that these guys who just did the training, that they learned anything.
Yeah, I don't know anything about those guys, so I don't know. In my opinion, I think the guys should come in hard, so I don't really have a dispute on them on that. I think that those guys should have their heads kicked in for a couple of years, but I think the fact that they think that those guys owe them something, which I've heard that they think young Matty owes them, and anyone who paid to go to the wrestling school, they don't owe them anything. They could have paid to go anywhere. That's just a service that's been provided in lieu of money.
And from the point right now that has erupted with Madison Miles and this, I don't even know what to call her. I'm not an artist, not even a wrestler.
Yeah.
And them putting her. What do you feel about that situation? Like, I just think like that's a bad business.
I thought it was unprofessional. And I don't think Maddie needs anyone to stick up for her, although I have a little bit. She's decided to enter an adult field, but I thought it was unprofessional, and especially to have somebody who's not even in the business cursing or swearing. It's I believe in a child-friendly product, and I think it's the only way to make money. I mean, look at what Mike Hughes does in PEI, fills that place every single show, and it's full of children. And children don't come by themselves. The parents have to buy tickets to bring them. So, that's also the reason why he's by far the most profitable around here.
And if I had to rank them, I'd say you'd have top right now is Red Rock, IHW, TCW, and all places that are actively using only maritime wrestlers.
Yeah, I guess I only look at numbers, and Mike Hughes by far makes the most money. IHW would be the only other company that turns a profit. So there's 1, 2. Third doesn't matter because third's a million miles behind losing money.
How is working for IHW and Red Rock?
Oh, I like working for both. Luckily it's a lot. I guess. Well, actually, it's not that similar of a crew now. It used to be, but I'm very good friends with Titus, and Mike Hughes, of course, is my best friend. He was the best man at my wedding. So, and all the Red Rock guys are great. IHW is great. It's a no pressure atmosphere where they know that they've hired the right guys. They give you a skeleton of what they want, and it's up to you to deliver. And, that's what I like. Wrestle Center, you'd show up and they'd hand you a script. I remember they handed me and Mick Foley 10 pages of script. We looked at each other and said, fuck them, just threw them in the garbage. I mean, how long do we got? 10 minutes? Give us the mics. We'll get through it. What point do you want across? And we'll get the point across. But when you're out there memorizing scripts, I mean, it looks like crap. It's just two guys trying to remember shit then.
Well, in an interview, the head guy wrestler Jason said, "I'm here to make a TV show. I don't really follow wrestling. I'm here to make a TV show," and that's what really stood out for me.
Have you seen the TV show?
I have not seen the TV show.
If it's not the worst TV show I've ever seen, I would hate to know what is. I'm on the show and I can't watch it. A show is bad when you can't watch a show that you're on. and it's unwatchable. It's hideous.
And so now I want to touch back on your early career, if you don't mind, and where you started in maritime wrestling, because I know you've been all over the place.
Well, I was a bodybuilder and I was a strongman, and I happened to. Jesus, funnily enough, I haven't told the story in a while. I have to think. I knew who Gary Williams was, but I didn't know he was a wrestler. He's just a guy that I would see in the gym every once in a while. And somebody told me that he had started wrestling, and I was a little bit interested. So, and right around that time, Edge and Christian and Glenn Kolka and Bad News Brown, Scott Demore, a bunch of guys were all of a sudden at the gym and in Moncton, and they were on tour with Emile Dupree. This was 1997. So I talked to Gary one day when I saw him in the gym. I said, "What's going on here? Is there pro wrestling here?" He says, "Yeah, I just started this year." So he gave me Emile's contact. I contacted Emile. I went up and met with Emile, and basically, by the time I had contacted him, it was '98, and we got started right away. Started training, set up the ring in his backyard. Started training, and next thing you know, I'm on the road working 7 nights a week. Not ready by any stretch of the imagination, but luckily I was with a good crew of veterans, and we got through it. Then I went to Calgary a few months later and trained with Leo Burke at Bret Hart's house for 2 or 3 months, and that got me to the point that I knew that if I can just get 400 or 500 more matches under my belt, I'll be a passable wrestler.
And you started out as Hercules in Grand Prix. What was it like working for Grand Prix back then, where the summers you were working solid as a professional wrestler?
Yeah, 7 nights a week. It was great. Yeah, best times of my life. Yeah, the money wasn't great, but it was more than we would make at regular jobs. So, by today's standards, it's But then, I mean, we were making more money than we would commensurate to our education in a warehouse or something like that. So we were happy, partying every night, having fun, getting experience.
Back then is when Renee was first starting. Did you see him as a young guy that was going to go to the heights that he got to?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Everybody did. I mean, he had every advantage in the world, and he was good, and he was avid about the gym, and everybody knew he was going to make it.
Do you feel like that's a model that they can go back to, being a booked solid, like ran like a territory?
Do I think we? No, no. I think now wrestling has become WWE. Kind of like cola has become Coke. I think that anything other than WWE or a big name. I mean, you can run successfully spot shows here and there, but to go 7 nights a week, I've done the business model many times because I would love to. I've toyed with the idea. In 2004, I was ready to go. Me and Rick Doyle had sat down, and we were gonna give it a go. But I figured out to run 7 nights a week, you'd need to average about 250 people a night, and that's difficult. Yeah, you might get 750 one night, but you have a few bad nights and you're back to zero. You have a few more bad nights and you're in the hole thousands of dollars. And this business is about making money, not losing it. So, I've kind of stayed risk free.
Is there anywhere that your career hasn't taken you that you would like to go?
Well, I would have liked when I was younger to go to WWE, of course. That was everybody's goal. But once I reached 35 or 36 years old, I had already become established in Europe. I was making a good living. I was happy, and I just gave up on that. I thought even if they do give me a shot, it's going to be short term. It could hurt my value down the road if they put some silly gimmick on me or something. So I realized that my shot was in my early 30s. I never started wrestling until I was 30. So, my shot was in my early 30s, and it didn't happen. I almost got signed with WCW, which is a very long story. That would have been life-changing financially. But, it's one. Yeah. So once, besides going to WWE, no. I guess I would have liked to have hit it in Japan. I didn't really push it. Now I look back and I think, geez, I really should have tried to cash in Japan when they really wanted the super heavyweight gaijins were the only guys making money. But I was busy, so it's easy not to sit down and make a million phone calls because when I was in Europe, I was wrestling 10 times a week. So it's really you're not sitting looking for work. It's the guys that stayed home and had 9 to 5 jobs and worked on the weekends. Those seem to be the guys that went to WWE. I was busy being a wrestler.
So there's a lot of guys in the Maritimes that are breaking out of the Maritimes now. What do you attribute to these guys' success outside the Maritimes now? Is it social media? Is it like obviously their match quality and their persona carries them as well?
I think that the one that's having success right now is Troy Merrick.
Yes.
Because he's hit it big in a market that not many people know about, and where they're packing stadiums every night, and he's got basically a lifetime invitation to come back whenever he wants. So he's the guy that's that made money last year, and he's the guy that'll make money this year. The other guys, I hope they become millionaires, but I don't think that they've had financial success yet. So like I say, Facebook likes you can't take them to the bank and get a mortgage.
I just meant as in branching out of the maritime peg hole and going outside of the Maritimes.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. I'm glad for them, and I hope that they continue going and it goes well for them.
My final question is there any gimmick you wish you could have tried or you thought could have went great with you earlier on or now, but now that you are Brody Steele, it's hard to get any new gimmick?
When you're 6'6" and 300 and you have a physique, to be honest, I mean, it's very unlikely that they're going to put a gimmick on you, especially when you have a mean-looking face. So I was kind of. I wouldn't say born with my gimmick, but I created my gimmick in the gym, and genetics had a lot to do with my gimmick. There's a million gimmicks I would have loved to have tried. I see a lot of guys that are given fun gimmicks, and they don't even seem to enjoy them. Like the Voorhees gimmick would be tremendous. To me that looks like so much fun, and there's lots of them I've seen. People that have that do like a lunatic gimmick, I'd love to come out in the gym or to the ring in a straitjacket with a psychiatrist, and I'd love to do that kind of crazy shit, but it's not necessary. You kind of put gimmicks on people that need a gimmick, and like I say, I kind of end my gimmick, and I'm not a whole lot different in real life. I'm an aggressive bastard, day to day.
And from anybody that knows you inside the ring and sees you from a fan point and not outside, you're two different people almost. You're very approachable, nice guy outside the ring, but once you're in that Brody Steele mind frame, just stay clear.
Well, I mean, when I broke in, I learned from people that I think are the masters. Leo Burke and his brother the Beast and the Cuban Assassin, and Corey Peliquin, who Chi Cruz was another guy who I looked up to tremendously when I started, and those are the guys that I learned how to conduct myself at the building. And to this day, I hate to see even the baby faces going out and being too pally-wally with the audience. You got to keep yourself special. Don't be too accessible. It's one thing to be walking through the mall and sit and have a coffee with a fan, but at the arena, if you're willing to sit down and have a beer with every fan that's liked you on Facebook, you're not doing the business or yourself any favors as a performer. You have to, there's a reason why people's next door neighbors don't come watch them perform. They're too close to pay money to see you. So I've seen it happen time and time again that people make friends with fans and the fans stop coming. I mean, why the hell are they going to pay to see you when they know you're going to stop by their house after the show to have a love fest about how great your match was?
And I couldn't agree more. And I think one group that does in the Maritimes that does hold true to kayfabe is Atlantic Grand Prix. As Renee was trained by his father, kayfabe is huge. And I worked their tours last year, and they just anytime from about 3 hours before doors open to doors open is kayfabe. No heel should be outside at the ring when a face is outside.
Well, that's why kayfabe is why we're gonna continue booming in India. We're going back in May, and probably go back again in the fall, and I suspect houses will be the same, if not bigger. And we're gonna blow the roof off that territory because we're kayfabing. There's value in it. If it only works for 1 out of 100 people, that's 1 out of 100 people that's going to continue to buy tickets. The other 99 are going to anyway.
And I couldn't agree more. As it's. I was talking to Rich Ace Vito, who is the Cuban Assassin. He was Cuban Assassin 2, now he's Cuban Assassin.
Yeah, I know Richie.
And he just said that's the only reason that UFC does well is they're not chummy before their fights. It's they're gonna go to the ring and do what they do. You don't see them having coffee or drinking beers or whatever before a fight.
No. They're the new pro wrestling. And it's legitimate, obviously, for now. And they're doing a lot of the stuff that pro wrestling has kind of forgot to do. Now, I can't sit here and criticize WWE because they're probably, although wrestling is less popular now than it's ever been, they're making more money than they ever have. They've just changed the business model. They're not dependent on putting 18,000 people in the stands every night. They've got so many other revenue sources, so they don't need to. So kayfabe hasn't become that important, but in the rest of the business, it certainly is.
Once again, I want to thank you. Is there any upcoming shows around the Maritimes or around the world that you would like to plug here?
Yes, next Friday night, is that the 18th?
It's the 18th, yes.
Yeah, at the Cosmo in Moncton. And then April 8th, Red Rock Wrestling in PEI. April 23rd, I'm in Quebec City. Damned if I can name the name of the promotion. But anyway, I'm in Quebec City. And then right after that, I'm heading to India for a week or two.
Perfect. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat with me this evening, and look forward to hopefully having you again on the show.
Yeah, no sweat, buddy.